Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a long time since I've posted on YouTube and I'm excited to be doing this video. I've been thinking about it so much. Last week I wrote about how my daughter and I were attacked by a deranged homeless man at Costco while we were putting our groceries. It was really my daughter who was attacked. He hit her over the back with a glass bottle, and then he and I got into kind of a screaming match with each other. He was arrested. He is still in jail. And so that has worked itself out, that justice part of the whole thing. But obviously there's emotional residue, right, from going through that kind of experience. So my daughter fared much better than I did, maybe because she's always sort of been safe to explore her emotions and feel them. And I realized that I have grown a lot from the experience, and I realized going through the aftermath of the experience how much I have transformed, or maybe a better way of putting it is how much I have really stepped into that which I already am. Because I do believe our own transformation process as humans, if we are trying to attain a higher consciousness, is really just kind of a transformation into what we already are, which is an aspect of the divine light. So we already have that. We're born into that world, or into this world that way. But it gets covered up and like kind of mucked up, right? With all the layers of life and the events that we have to go to, which are all necessary. The suffering, the hardship, like I do believe these things are necessary to our personal growth if we go through them. Including this event that happened last week. And when it first happened, I was so angry. I wanted to kill him on the spot. I felt nothing of a greater consciousness at that point. I was very human in the moment. I just wanted to throttle him and yeah, like suck the life out of him and watch it happen. So that was a little scary for me to recognize, like, oh my God, there's that beast inside of me. But I also think it's like the mama bear part of me, right? It was such primal instinct, and I really felt it. It was like so visceral. And then as we went through the week, I was angry afterwards, and especially because my anger was so thwarted, like I couldn't attack him. That just would have been really unsafe, and obviously I could have been really hurt. But anyway, and there's many reasons why that didn't happen, but I still felt thwarted, and so I had to walk through it. And for most of my life, I have been one to repress my own emotions. Like if I felt sadness, fear, anger, bitterness, resentment, all those things, I would mainly just try to stuff them down and just keep moving forward. That was just my thing. Like, keep moving forward. I got to stay strong. Even as a kid, I mean, as a mother, even more so, I think it like became exponential because now I had all these little ones to look after and my husband, and I just needed to be like the strong one who could carry the family through whatever external turmoil was happening. So, but even as a kid, I was that way. I just sort of soldiered on, right? And I sort of grew up with that old school mentality of, you save your tears for the pillow. You don't cry in front of people. We, especially as women, God forbid we make anybody uncomfortable with our emotions. So we just learn to push them down. I mean, and this dates back to forever. Women used to be put into mental institutions for being quote unquote hysterical. So we have been taught, this is just an overarching theme in our culture that it just affects us, right? As women. It affects men too. Men are, almost feeling emasculated if they cry. And so this is something that I think our society has been wrestling with for a long time, and we're ready to change that now. We're ready to change the narrative. And this event that happened last week really helped me realize that. And it really helped me realize how much work I've done, because I was able to feel the emotions and I didn't repress, and I was angry and I cursed a lot more than usual last week. And I just let off some steam, not at anyone, and not the kind of anger that comes out and hurts other people, because that's a result of repressed anger, right? So when we repress our anger and when we act like it's not there and when we deny ourselves the safety to feel our emotions, or we just deny ourselves our own emotions, they don't go away. The energy has to be released somehow, some way. So they either make us sick, or we get really short tempers, right? People will do the smallest thing and we just lose it, because in our psyche, it's like we're at the end of the rope, at the end of our rope, but we're not actually at the end of our rope with maybe the person who pissed us off in that moment or said something that was pretty benign, but because we're already on the edge, we just lose it. So those are results of repressed emotions. Languishing in your own pity, like the self-pity, just letting yourself spiral down. That was one of my things. Like when I would get sad about something, it would just become a downward spiral. And pretty soon it was like, I'm such a loser. I haven't accomplished anything in my life. Like that was always my go-to. And that's also a result of repressed emotions. So for this period, I didn't experience that. I didn't lash out at anybody else. I just let myself go through it. I let myself cry. I allowed myself to humanize the man that victimized us, because at first it was like he was this monster to me, when in reality, he's another human. And who knows what he's been through in his life. He's probably had to repress his emotions his entire life, and he's ended up, mentally ill because of, who knows his story. But I doubt, I would bet money that he wasn't raised in a super happy home where he was loved and attended to and cared about and felt safe to express his emotions. It was probably the opposite, I'm guessing, from his behavior. He's had a hard life. And I was able to see him that way and have compassion for him. And I was able to have compassion for myself and let myself feel the way I was feeling without judging myself, without saying you shouldn't feel that way and you should cuss less and you shouldn't feel angry. No, I didn't do any of those things. I just let myself feel, and I actually enjoyed the process. And here I am a little over a week later, feeling really good and feeling like I had to pass through the underworld and the darkness to appreciate the light again, right? It's like, I think a lot of people I'm not a fan of the New Age, but in maybe spiritual communities tend to deny or repress negative emotions, and that's not the answer. The answer is to experience them, but we have to have safety to do it. And the reason this is so important in regards to being a mother is because we are teaching our children these things. They are learning from us. And so if we are able to allow ourselves to feel, then we're going to be able to allow our children to feel when they need to feel and to still love them through it, right? Like the conclusion I've come to is that although all humans are different and unique, we still all share some very core makeup components. One of those being we want to be loved and we want to love. We all want to be loved. We all want to love others. We want to experience the fullness of love in our lifetimes. That's why we look for partners. That's why we have children. That's why we create families. That's why we have our friends. That's why we join communities, right? Even YouTube is a community. We want to feel loved. We want to feel a part of. And so we want to feel that even when we're at our worst. And so as parents and as mothers, if we can learn to accept and love ourselves through our own worst tendencies and times in our lives where we're just kind of shitheads, if we can love ourselves during those times, then we can extend that same gift of real unconditional love to our children. And you can have a toddler screaming at you because they're not getting what they want, and you can still love them. You don't have to scream at them back. You can give them a hug, and you can say, I'm sorry. You can still be gentle with them. It doesn't mean you're going to give them what they want in that moment, because it may not be possible, but you can still love them through their own turmoil. If you have a teenager who's acting out, you can still love them through their turmoil. And by giving that love, and even your partner, right? If you have a partner who's going through something, instead of taking it personally, you can just stand by and love them through it and just let them know they're cared about, they're held, you're there when they're ready. And this can look a lot of different ways, but it's sort of just keeping that intention to stay rooted in love, even when you or others or the world at large is not acting the way you want it to act, or you want those people to act, or you want yourself to act. So it's not about only giving love when you're getting what you want. It's about just giving it regardless. So even to that man who attacked my daughter and I, can I love him through it? I'm not sure. You know, I'm not a perfected being by any means. So these lessons are for myself as well. But this is what I'm trying to get to. And I just feel that if more of us could safely and wholly acknowledge, feel, and release our emotions, then there could be less acts of violence. Because I think a lot of acts of violence are really just all of this like pent up aggression and anger and fear exploding out onto other people, right? It hasn't had a safe outlet. So it is up to us to change that for ourselves. It is up to us to do the work that it takes, which is work. There's no overnight fixes. I know everybody wants an overnight fix and just wants to become transformed, you know, in a week or in a month or in a year. But I'm sorry to report to you, that's probably not possible. It does take effort and discipline and work on your part. And it also takes a light heart. It takes being able to laugh at a lot of these kind of silly things about ourselves. When we take an objective point of view and see ourselves and think like, really? You're getting that upset over that? Like this morning, I was just going off about how I don't like my toilet. And like, it's a toilet and it's a good toilet. Sometimes humans are just cuckoo bananas. And that's okay too, right? So I kind of lost my train of thought. But the point is, you've got to do the work on yourself. Just stick with it. Get through the dark times. It just reveals more light. And as one of my friends loves to say, you know, the brighter the light, the longer the shadow. And so when it's high noon, you've got a really big shadow. So just remembering that those things go together and there is a purpose to everything, even if we don't realize it at the time. Like I think a lot of things that happen in our lives, we are just human beings. We're little humans in an enormous universe. And we just really don't have the capacity to understand everything all the time. And that's okay. We don't have to. But if we can at least tap into the idea that there is a cosmic intelligence that we can try to grow into, and just that we are greater than our feelings. We are greater than the ebb and flow of life. We are something more is happening on a bigger level, and we can be a part of it. We don't have to be these little useless things. We can grow into our greatness. And so I hope this helps. Please comment if you have any comments. Obviously, if you like this video, I would love for you to share it with anyone you think could get help from it. And yeah, let's continue this conversation. I think it's really important to have. And I hope you can go out there and do some acts of love today, even if it's just being nice to your tantruming toddler. That would be amazing. Or giving someone who is really angry a hug and maybe disarming the situation that way. Not a stranger, people that you know and love. Just try to be soft and loving today. And I will try to do the same. Okay, thanks. Bye.